Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Necromancer build in Oblivion Remastered. So this Death Mage is able to reanimate those that have died, bringing them back to fight alongside us or do goofy poses like that. We also have plenty of spells and ways to be able to regenerate our own health by absorbing health on both touch and on our weapon attacks, so we can continually keep our health full while damaging the enemies. Now I find that using a mace works well, especially with the absorb health on it, because this is going to give you the ability to just soak up as much health as you can so that we're pretty much unable to die. And then we can summon in our different summons, like I have the skeleton hero here, one of the strongest skeleton versions. And then we also have some other ones like the shambling mounds here, which can also do quite a bit of damage and also tank for us. So I'll be showing off all the best ways to go about building this in this video. As far as the best race, this is what you find to play the most interesting. So I personally think the Breton is the best choice here, but you will pick what you think works best. The Breton's a good choice because it gives you 50 extra magicka for spell casting, and you get a 50% resistance to all magic damage. So this is very powerful. The Orc also gets a 25% resistance, and they're more so focused on being like a melee attacker. So if you want to go more martially, the Orc's a decent choice. I think the Dark Elf and the Breton are two of the best. This gives you 75% resistance to fire magic, which is the most common elemental damage type in the game. And they're also good with sword, bow, and destruction magic, which we're going to use a bit of as well. The High Elf's another good choice, although you do take more magical damage. You get a plus 100 to your magicka, so you actually can cast more spells than any other race, which is also very, very nice. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. Like the Nord has the cold resistance, which is all right. Khajiit has some benefits too, but I think the best choice would be the Breton or the Dark Elf here for a Necromancer style class. As for the Birthsign, there's a couple that stand out. The Atronak, well, most people don't like to play this style because you can't regenerate your own magicka. This can work well if you want to add in alchemy, because then you can create your own sorcery potions. This gives you 150 plus magicka, and you can absorb 50% of spells cast at you. So with the Breton, this makes you pretty impervious to any magic. But the Lord is another good choice. This got changed from its previous in Oblivion Original, where it made you take extra fire damage. This actually increases your armor rating by 15 and adds a 15% magical resistance. This is one of the best signs in the game now, as that extra damage reduction is massive. And an increased armor rating by 15 early game is really, really useful. This makes you a lot more tanky. The Lady is another good choice. This gives you a plus 10 to your endurance, which gives you more overall health. It also gives you a plus 10 to your willpower, so you can regenerate your magic a little bit quicker. The Thief, I've just always mentioned it, plus 10 to luck. Luck takes 4 of your 12 level up points to level by 1, so it's the most costly attribute. Agility is also decent, speed's decent, but the luck is the big thing there. I wouldn't fully recommend Warrior unless you want to focus again. Like if you played an Orc and want to use maces quite a bit with absorb health on them, then the Warrior would work well. The Mage gives you a plus 50 magicka, so this is another option, but I think the best choice is Atronak, Lady, or Lord here, with the Lord probably being the absolute best if you want to be a little bit more tanky. Now, there isn't actually any custom classes similar to a Necromancer here, like the closest would probably be the Witch Hunter, but we're going to make our own custom class with a focus on magic to give that plus 5 bonus, and skills will increase more rapidly. For our attributes, as we're leveling through the game, intelligence is going to be a massive one because it's going to increase the amount of magicka that we can have. Willpower as well, which will increase the magicka regeneration rate, and endurance. This gives you maximum health. It's always a good stat to have. However, you can also take luck because, as I mentioned, it's more costly to upgrade, so getting a plus 5 bonus early in the game is really, really nice for that. You can go with a little bit of strength if you want to use maces quite a bit, but I think that intelligence, willpower, and endurance are most important. As for leveling, we're going to want to level up our endurance and our intelligence to the max as quickly as possible so that we get more, magicka, but also more health, because this will keep us alive as we're absorbing health constantly. So these two work together well, and then the rest of your points go into willpower, a little bit of strength, speed is also kind of nice, and luck, because you want to get your luck up for endgame. So yeah, put 5 points into endurance, 5 points into magicka, and then 2 points into your willpower there every level up until you get these two maxed out, and then you can start working on your willpower, and then maybe a bit of luck and strength as well. Now, getting into our skills, this is going to be focused mostly on necromancy, so we're going to start with the magic skills here, as conjuration is really the bread and butter. This gives us our skeleton summon if you take this at the start of the game, so you get at least one summon. Now, where summons become very powerful in Oblivion, if you're on higher difficulties, you on Master will only do 0.167 times the amount of damage that you normally would deal, which is not much. This, however, changes with Conjuration because they are not bound by those rules. So if you summon in something Conjuration-wise, it's able to do its maximum amounts of damage to the enemy. So this kind of not cheeses it, but makes master difficulty a lot easier because your summons carry a lot more weight than you can. And destruction magic obviously makes a lot of sense here. There are some spells that we can go with that are very beneficial. I also recommend having restoration here because this will give us the ability to absorb health too, and we want to stay alive for as long as possible. So, I mean, a necromancer restoration doesn't, perfectly feel thematic, but it's important because this gives us our attributes for absorb health and many other spells that are very beneficial. I also like to have alchemy here because being able to create potions is really nice. Alteration for the shield can be decent as well, but we can also just go with armor. Illusion is nice because we can paralyze enemies too, and then mysticism's good for like the reflecting damage and absorb magicka. But you can take which one of these you prefer. Sneak is another good skill on Necromancer. We want to have one type of armor too. Light armor is going to be a little bit better for us early game, whereas late game, heavy armor is a little bit better. The Daedric armor looks pretty decent. The reason that we want to go with armor is compared to robes, with armor we can enchant all of our armor pieces, so you get more total enchantments, like 4 to 5 magicka, which gives 50 extra magicka per armor slot. So we could go with the heavy armor there. I think that works well late game. Your choice. If you prefer how late armor looks, go with light armor. If you prefer how heavy armor looks, go with heavy armor. We can also take blunt because a mace is kind of like a weapon that a necromancer would use often, so it makes sense thematically here. I never really used to take blunt, but it fits perfectly here. And then on top of that, we can also go, again, we can take sneak because that's going to be good. Necromancers, well, not stealthy. It's a good skill to have for sure. However, we don't have to take it. We can go with our alchemy here and then take one of the other schools like illusion for paralyze. So for your last one, illusion, mysticism, or alteration, if you want to add any of the extra magics there. But I think that sneak is a nice one to have. So heavy armor, blunt, alchemy, conjuration, destruction, restoration, and sneak for our skills. And what good is a necromancer without very powerful spells? I think that having a health absorb spell here from the restoration school makes a lot of sense. So this is absorb health 20 points on touch. This will allow you to regenerate your health by sapping it from the enemies. I also do like some of these different cold damaging ones, but I prefer having it at a range. So like I have a 5-second paralyze here, so we can paralyze a target and then you can use your summons to take them out. I also like to have some type of elemental damage choice. Like I made the special huge ice blast here, which has a huge radius. Crafting your own spells is going to be really nice, but if you can get the Wizard's Fury, this is the best spell in the game because this does fire for 15 seconds on the target, 30 points of frost and 30 points of shock damage. And it's relatively cheap to cast this. It gives you like it's 50% cheaper than most other spells. So this is a really good spell to have. I always have that equipped. Now, I also like to, I make my own types of spells. I find the Flame Atronach being one of the better ones, so I like to have a custom summon of that. However, we can go with some of the other choices here. So like the Daedroth being a very effective summon, especially mid-game because it's tanky. It can shoot fireballs. It can melee attack. It's one of the strongest ones. We also got like the Gloom Wraith, the Lich. I don't actually like the Lich, I'll be honest. It's not that great of attacking. I find the AI on it's not very smart. I like the Replete Shambles here. These just look cool for a Necromancer. It's like a big bone character. I'll show you that. The Skeletons, that you start with Summon Skeleton if you have the Conjuration picked, and then you can work your way up to the Skeleton Hero. Voracious Hunger also really cool, so I'll show you what those look like. They're little scampy looking things. So these can be actually pretty effective to summon in as well. They got that Necromancer look to them, so you can summon in one of those. You can also summon in like a skeleton here. I like to have the skeleton because this just fits like a Necromancer. And another thing is there's mods that let you summon in multiple different summons at a time. And then the Shambles here, so this one is really, really nice. It's like a big skeleton creature, and I find that this one is pretty decently smart as far as it goes for attacking, so we can go with that and then put out our magic options for damage. So I also have this staff here. The staff is the Staff of Worms that you get from the Mage Guild quest line. This is one of the 2 only sources of reanimate that we can get. You can get a different version of it. As a greater power here, the Risen Flesh can only be used once a day, which gives you reanimation on touch. It does work, however, somewhat goofy sometimes, as you can see there. So if you reanimate people, sometimes it doesn't always work out very well, but if it's in combat, sometimes they'll start fighting. They'll also talk to you oddly and act like they're alive, but sometimes they're just floating around like they had a bunch of skooma. And it's working properly now. Our reanimated target is now actively fighting alongside us, so that's good. And I'll also say your name and have them alongside you. Now I have a reanimation for only 60 seconds here. It does a decent enough job, so we can use our reanimated target. We got our summon target, and then with this here, this will absorb health. So I really like having the absorb health ability on your enchantment on a weapon, especially like a mace here, because with this we can continually, if we get hurt, we can just keep absorbing more health to bring ourselves back to life, and then we're pretty much immortal as long as you got the soul gems to be able to use that. So it makes it pretty powerful. The shambles are also kind of funny because they're so big, so if you find that you're in caves and it's blocking the way, you can also just go with a skeleton. But sometimes it's nice. I found the Daedroth is really effective for blocking targets away from coming towards you, so that can be nice as well. But with this, we're basically immortal. We're losing our enchantment pretty quickly. It's the only unfortunate thing about putting 20 points of absorb health on your attacks. Well, it's nice. It can run out of its charges really quickly. And sometimes the shambles, as you can see there, just do her T-pose and they don't actively like attack. So that can be kind of annoying when they're not doing their proper job. But that's why I mentioned that the Flame Atronak can work well too. So that is a Necromancer build in Oblivion Remastered. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.